Myself Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual JForex, I will be demonstrating to you the use of block, which is an logical component named multiple action. We use this block to streamline the flows of algorithm, and we can add complexity to our setup. And whenever we are working with multiple logics which needs to be executed simultaneously or one after the another, we can utilize this particular block. This is included under the logical classification. Here it is, multiple action. As now, to see its functionality, you will find it listed amongst the logical blocks. Here it is, multiple action. We here also have brief info. So whenever you want to see what it's all about, you can read it. And to add to its functionality, first we have to define some components, or sometimes if you want to work with the multiple logics, multiple ideas straight away, even then you can initiate with this on candle or any of the start point, and then on the lower side using these multiple flows you can define your various ideas, so you can go about this working in that direction also. For example, we will see some utility using indicator and if else statements. So for example, let us take AC and alligator, any random indicator I'm taking, no particular choice in that. Now, let's say we want to design one setup using the acceleration deceleration indicator and another setup with the help of alligator indicator. Here this is bare bone structure. We are not really looking into the total functioning or efficacy of any particular setup. I just wanted to give you an idea how you can utilize this multiple action block. And on the lower side, in first flow, suppose if you design some idea and for that to add some complexity, let us do some comparison between two AC blocks, and then I will also add the if else statement which we have seen in prior session. Now we do some changes in shift value. We change it to say 2, we keep it 0, and also we change the fast bit, suppose 7. We have changed the combination. So here you will have different output values being derived after providing for these input values. And then you want to do the comparison, and for that you add another logical component, for example the if else statement, and you want the current positive value to be higher than positive value to get it back, and then you again take the multiple action block and you carry on. So here if this condition is fulfilled, then first input is less than sorry, we were looking at greater, we wanted the positive 11 to be greater than positive 13, and then this is going to move forward. And here if this condition is fulfilled, you want to check for other conditions, or suppose for example you want the trade to execute provided another condition is fulfilled, so you can add two further if blocks and provide the flow you want given this condition is fulfilled, you want the negative value, negative 11, to be less than negative 13, and in case it is negative 11 is greater than 13, you also want to define that condition. So you are now, once the first condition is fulfilled, you are defining two more conditions, and depending on that you want the trade to execute. So we take trading block. It's taking a bit time to load. Okay, we are going straight away. Open at market, two blocks taken. Okay. So here, if the first condition is fulfilled, that is negative value is less than the negative 13 value, negative 11 is less than negative 13, then buy trade will happen. And if the negative 11 is greater than negative 13, then the sell trade will happen. So here, when you want to execute multiple logics in a different way, you can use this multiple action block, or even in same algorithm you can work with two ideas, as I have done here. I have added the alligator block. Suppose if we want to add complexity, then we can even add other components, other indicators, and then do the comparison between them, and we can define the setup and we can work with it. For example, I am here taking this Williams R value, and we can then make it more complex, add layers to it, and then again bring the multiple action block in focus, define certain conditions, which if get fulfilled, then we will see the trade flow moving forward and executing the trade. So here let us work with one mathematical component. We haven't really seen its functioning so far, so I think it will be better for us to avoid it at this juncture of time. We will rather take a min max value, and we will do one more min max. And here also the idea is, if certain conditions are fulfilled, then the trade should happen, else nothing should happen. So here I have brought this. Now we want to change the time period to say hourly, and here we are utilizing the shift value of 1, and here we will change this to 5. Time period also can be changed, and we are looking at this. This is 5. Today the response time is looking a lot higher. Some problem with the network, or I think the server. Okay, so we have defined it. Now if we want to add layers to it, if we want to set certain conditions using which the trade flow should move, then we can set those conditions also. So again we bring in the logical components, if else. So if certain conditions are met, trade flow will move in certain direction. If the conditions are not met, then so here we want the minima of last time of the 5 hours to be greater than the minima of last 30 hours, 5 periods back, and this is 1 period back. And if that condition is fulfilled, then we want the trading to happen. So here again we bring in the multiple action block and minima is greater. Okay, then other indicator combination will be looked at. So Williams R value we have, and if so here we join this. If the Williams R value is we will add it to first input. If the Williams R value rises above 80, then the buy trade will happen, and if the Williams R value goes below 20, then another trade, that is sell side trade, will happen. So here we add trading component. Right now we are utilizing open at market only. So here we want this to be greater and we want this to be less, and this should be sell trade. We are not really at the moment bothered with these input values for other components of this block. So whole idea is that you can work with multiple logics in various ways. You can do your permutation combination, and to do that, multiple action block comes handy. You can work with different components at the same time in the same algorithm. So that's how useful this block is, and it will make your algorithmic structure very efficient, and you can build an profitable algorithm using this block. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query to share, you can write it in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Thank you all for joining in. Do subscribe to the Dukascopy webinar channel. Goodbye.